Mayor James Thompson was a dedicated leader in the small town of Willow Creek. With a charming smile and an open-door policy, he had always believed in the power of community. He grew up in Willow Creek, knowing every street and every family. His father had been a police officer, and his mother a school teacher, instilling in him strong values about service and responsibility. As mayor for 5 years, James focused on improving public safety, education, and local businesses. However, crime rates had recently spiked, leaving many residents feeling unsafe. Burglary reports were on the rise, and whispers of gang activity echoed through town. The mayor felt an immense pressure to protect his community while also ensuring their trust in his leadership. Despite his best efforts to rally support and implement new programs, the challenges seemed to multiply each day. Citizens worried about their homes, children, and futures. As threats against him became more frequent and alarming, Mayor Thompson realized he needed to take decisive action to safeguard not only himself but also the people he cared for deeply. Little did he know that this decision would lead him down an unexpected and dangerous path. In the weeks leading up to his decision, Mayor Thompson faced a series of unsettling events that shook his confidence. It started with anonymous letters slipping under his office door, filled with threats and warnings. One letter hinted at a plot against him, telling him to watch his back. He dismissed these as prankish acts from disgruntled citizens, but the tension in the air was palpable. Then came the vandalism. One morning, he arrived at City Hall to find graffiti on the walls, depicting him as a coward and accusing him of failing the town. The local news reported on it, and residents expressed their growing frustration. Just days later, while attending a community meeting, an angry crowd confronted him, some shouting for his resignation and others demanding better protection. A turning point occurred when he received a phone call late one night from an unknown number, breathing heavily on the other end. "You should be careful where you walk," the voice warned before hanging up. That call sent shivers down his spine, confirming that something was seriously wrong in Willow Creek. With fear creeping in, he realized he could no longer ignore the danger lurking around him. After much deliberation, Mayor Thompson felt that hiring a bodyguard was his only option. The incidents had left him feeling raw and vulnerable, emotions he wasn't accustomed to managing as a leader. The thought of being unable to protect himself or worse, his family, haunted him daily. Tackling crime had always been about serving the community, but now it felt intensely personal. He started by researching local security firms and reading reviews online. Each click seemed to amplify his worries. The reality of needing protection was daunting. He scheduled meetings with different agencies, feeling a knot tighten in his stomach each time he discussed his situation. Some firm representatives were professional, while others seemed more interested in selling their latest gadgets than providing real security. Finally, he met with a former military veteran who specialized in personal security. This man exuded calm and confidence, easing some of the mayor's fears as they talked about protocols and safety measures. Yet, beneath that calm exterior, James worried about what it meant to rely on someone else for protection. Accepting that fear had taken root in his life left him feeling exposed. He ultimately made the decision to hire this bodyguard, hoping it would reassure both him and the anxious townspeople. The day finally arrived for Mayor Thompson to meet his new bodyguard, a man named Jake Sullivan. As he walked into the cafe where they had agreed to meet, Thompson was struck by Jake's imposing presence. Tall and broad-shouldered, with buzz-cut hair and a serious expression, the former soldier seemed ready for anything. His past was etched in the way he carried himself, a blend of military discipline and street-smart intuition. Jake began to share snippets of his history. He had served multiple tours overseas, specializing in tactical operations. After leaving the Army, he worked as a personal security consultant, helping high-profile clients navigate dangerous situations. His demeanor was calm, and he spoke with confidence, assuring Thompson that safety was not just about muscle but strategy and vigilance. As they talked over coffee, Jake's intense eyes conveyed a sense of trustworthiness. Despite his tough exterior, there was an underlying warmth in his laughter when he recounted moments from his military days. Thompson found himself easing into the conversation, feeling reassured that he was hiring someone who could genuinely protect him. A partnership built not only on necessity but trust. As the days passed following Jake Sullivan's arrival, strange occurrences began to unfold that left Mayor Thompson feeling increasingly uneasy. At first, it was little things. A strange car parked across the street for hours, its engine running softly, or shadows darting in the alleyways outside his office late at night. Jake assured him these happenings were nothing to worry about, but Thompson couldn't help but feel a knot of dread in his stomach. One evening, as he returned home, the sound of footsteps echoed behind him. When he turned to look, there was nobody there. The eerie silence made his heart race. The next day at City Hall, a faint rustling noise came from the back entrance, enough to make him glance around nervously. He approached Jake that afternoon, sharing his worries. Only minutes later, as they were discussing security measures, they spotted a figure lingering near the entrance, dressed in dark clothing. When confronted, the person vanished into the crowd of passers-by. The unsettling patterns continued, doorways left ajar when no one was supposed to be there and whispers of unfamiliar faces seen watching from a distance. It became clear to Thompson that danger was closer than he had realized. It was a rainy afternoon when Mayor Thompson decided to investigate the strange occurrences more closely. After a long day of meetings, he left City Hall and headed to the local library, thinking that perhaps someone had reported suspicious activities. The dimly lit room was almost empty, with only a few patrons quietly reading. He made his way to the bulletin board at the entrance, where community news and events were pinned. As he scanned the board, an eye-catching poster caught his attention. The bold letters screamed "Wanted," and his heart dropped as he stepped closer. There it was, his own face staring back at him, accompanied by a description accusing him of various crimes that he couldn't even fathom. Confusion flooded his mind as he read through the details. They painted him as a corrupt leader involved in illegal dealings. His hands trembled as he grabbed the poster, feeling an icy chill run down his spine. How could this be happening? A swirl of panic filled his thoughts, and suddenly all those strange happenings began to make sense. This wasn't just fear. It was a carefully orchestrated attack against him. Mayor Thompson's heart raced as he stood frozen in front of the poster, his mind spiraling into a whirlwind of panic and confusion. The accusations scrawled across the paper felt like daggers, each one piercing through the facade of safety he had tried to maintain. How could this be happening? Who would want to frame him in such a vile way? Thoughts raced through his mind like a storm. He began questioning everything: the strange cars, the shadowy figures, and even the trust he placed in Jake. Was he truly safe with his bodyguard? Or was this all part of a larger scheme? Doubt crept into his heart, gnawing at his confidence as the weight of uncertainty bore down on him. Feeling overwhelmed, he hurried back to City Hall, clutching the poster tightly like a lifeline. Each step felt heavier than the last as whispers of betrayal echoed in his ears. He needed answers, but where could he turn? The feeling of isolation washed over him. It seemed everyone around him could be a potential enemy. In that moment, he realized that the very foundation of his leadership was crumbling, leaving him vulnerable and questioning everything he thought he knew. Determined to uncover the truth behind the wanted poster, Mayor Thompson knew he had to take action immediately. He called Jake Sullivan into his office and laid out a plan to investigate further. They began by reviewing any recent police reports that could provide clues about potential threats against him. With Jake's military background, they brainstormed tactics for gathering information without drawing attention. The first step was to discreetly interview key people in the community, those who might have insight into who would want to harm him. Thompson decided to meet with local business owners and residents who had expressed concerns about crime in recent months. He wanted to gauge their feelings about the accusations on the poster and see if anyone had noticed anything suspicious. In addition, they planned to keep an eye on the strange cars and shadowy figures that had been lurking around, hoping to identify patterns or connections. As he dived deeper into this investigation, Thompson felt a sense of purpose returning, replacing some of the panic that had engulfed him. It was time to reclaim control over his life and his leadership, even as uncertainty loomed around every corner. As Mayor Thompson and Jake Sullivan sat in the dim light of the mayor's office, Tension hung heavy in the air. The investigation had led to troubling connections, and doubts about Jake's loyalty began to surface. Thompson's heart raced as he faced the man who had been tasked with protecting him, but now felt like a potential threat. "Jake, I need you to be honest with me," Thompson said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "What do you know about this poster? Is there something you're not telling me?" Jake's expression hardened. "I'm here to keep you safe, Mayor. You know that." But there was a flicker in his eyes that made Thompson uneasy. "Safe from whom?" Thompson pressed, leaning forward. "From my enemies or from you?" The air crackled with unspoken truths as Jake shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He revealed that during his time in the military, he had seen dark sides of power, forces that sometimes turned allies into enemies. The mayor's breath caught. Could it be that someone had twisted things to turn Jake against him? The confrontation intensified as they both recognized that trust was fragile and secrets could have catastrophic consequences. Each man was left questioning not only the motives of others but their own choices as well. As the investigation deepened, Mayor Thompson began to connect the dots between Jake and the troubling activities unsettling Willow Creek. While reviewing police reports and community interviews, he noticed patterns that were hard to ignore. Several incidents of vandalism and threats against him coincided with Jake's arrival in town. One night, Thompson pored over security footage from outside City Hall. To his shock, he recognized a man lurking in the shadows, a figure who had been seen talking to Jake on multiple occasions. The pieces started to fit together like a puzzle, revealing a network of corruption that ran deeper than he initially thought. Thompson recalled how Jake had mentioned former military contacts who could help with security but remained vague about specific names. This lack of transparency set off alarms in his mind. He also learned from local business owners that there were rumors linking Jake to some unsavory characters involved in organized crime. Realizing that Jake might not be the protector he claimed to be, Thompson felt a mixture of betrayal and urgency. He needed to confront Jake again, but this time armed with evidence, knowing that uncovering this truth could put him at even greater risk. The stakes were higher than ever as he prepared for what lay ahead. The tension in the air was palpable as Mayor Thompson prepared for the confrontation he had dreaded. With evidence of Jake's questionable loyalty weighing heavily in his pocket, he paced his office, his mind racing through every moment that had led to this point. Shadows flickered on the walls, mirroring his swirling doubts about who he could truly trust. As Jake entered the room, Thompson's heart pounded like a drum. "We need to talk," he stated, keeping his voice steady even as his insides churned. Jake's demeanor shifted, the calm facade cracking just a little. "Is this about the poster?" Jake asked, taking a step closer. "It's about more than that," Thompson replied, pulling out the security footage showing Jake conversing with suspicious figures. "I know you've been involved with people who threaten my safety and this town." Jake's expression hardened, and for a moment, the silence felt deafening. "You don't understand what you're getting into," he warned, eyes narrowing. Thompson felt a surge of adrenaline. The stakes had never been higher. Trust was unraveling before him, and he had to decide whether to confront Jake or seek an escape from the chaos surrounding them. In that moment, he realized that every choice he made could either save him or plunge him deeper into danger. After a tense confrontation, Mayor Thompson made the difficult decision to dismiss Jake Sullivan, realizing that he could no longer trust the man he had once counted on for protection. This choice was not just about his safety. It symbolized a turning point in his leadership. Feeling empowered yet vulnerable, Thompson took time to reflect on the chaos that had unfolded. He recognized that the escalating crime and community unrest were symptoms of deeper issues within Willow Creek. Determined to bring about change, he dedicated himself to rebuilding trust with the townspeople. Thompson organized community forums where residents could voice their concerns without fear, emphasizing transparency and collaboration. He also reached out to local law enforcement to strengthen partnerships aimed at tackling crime more effectively. Through this harrowing experience, Thompson learned invaluable lessons about trust, vigilance, and the importance of community. He vowed to remain proactive in protecting not just himself but the very fabric of Willow Creek. With renewed determination, he stepped into his role as mayor, ready to face the challenges ahead with courage and fortitude, knowing that a united community was his greatest strength against any future threat. As Mayor Thompson stood before the gathered residents of Willow Creek, he felt a profound sense of responsibility. The recent turmoil had taught him that leadership in times of danger requires more than just authority. It demands trust, transparency, and unwavering commitment to the community. He understood now that protection does not solely come from physical barriers or security personnel, but from building genuine relationships with the people he served. Thompson reflected on the betrayal he experienced and realized it highlighted a critical lesson. Vulnerability can lead to both fear and growth. The challenges faced were not mere obstacles but opportunities to foster resilience within himself and the community. He vowed to prioritize open dialogue, encouraging residents to voice their concerns without fear of retribution. In this new chapter, Thompson was determined to cultivate a culture of trust that transcended his own fears. He recognized that effective leadership requires collaboration, understanding individual needs, and having the courage to confront difficult truths. As he looked into the faces of his constituents, he knew that together they could transform chaos into strength, ensuring a safer and more united Willow Creek for all.